Hey friends, wherever you're catching this, whether you're on Facebook or on our podcast or you're catching it on YouTube, welcome very much. We're here, Sonica and Christian with the LoveWorks Solution once again to hopefully give you some relationship inspiration and advice during these crazy times we're living in right now.
I know it was really fun yesterday. I was working out in the yard on our quarantine here at home, and I was listening to the neighbors next door with their kids. They were playing outside some game, ping pong, something. And it was just so fun listening to them and remembering, when we had littler kids and we were playing those kinds of games too. But the other memory I had actually that I wanted to share was I remember one of the best experiences and memories I have from my childhood was when my father got really pissed off at the television taking over the family. He was so mad.
Yeah,
And
this is 50 years ago
yes,
or
yes.
more.
And rumor has it my dad threw the television out the window. How I remembered it is he just took the plug away so we couldn't plug it in. But it was the best many, many months of my life not having that television. It kind of forced all of us to interact with each other and play games. Like we played lots of board games and went outside and played badminton. I mean, we just had fun together. And I remember it being such a memorable experience that we made sure when we had kids to actually cultivate those experiences living out here in the country.
Yeah, and of course, as during these times where many of us are stuck at home, and if you're stuck at home with maybe you're the only parent, maybe both parents are home, and you have kids, it can be truly challenging to not lose your, you know what I mean? And we hear from parents these days, both on the side of wow, we're getting really creative, coming up with new ideas, and also the side of we are totally losing ourselves here, and it's taken a real strain on our relationship because often, of course, that's what happens, when and this is true not just in Corona times. It's always true pretty much, but it's exacerbated, magnified, and turbocharged these days. Is that it takes a real toll on our connection when there just isn't enough space, enough time. There's always this demand on us from the kids or our own sense of obligation. So what are some ideas we can do? And actually, Sonica, your story, that is one idea we could consider doing.
Well, really, it's an opportunity to get creative. Come up with things to do, like playing games together or playing hide and seek. Like that was one that we did a lot when we were growing up. Making jewelry. I mean, these earrings, this is like, what we've done on rainy days at home. Um, I was talking with a mom yesterday. I loved it. She said they have been really limiting phones and computer time. And they had just gotten back from a bike ride around Folsom Lake together, and they were coming home. She said they were doing yoga that evening. She had turned her living room into a yoga studio. And she was also saying periodically her and her husband, because they're not having the kind of alone time they have been accustomed to, that they just take turns chasing each other around the house and coming up with other ways to playfully keep their connection alive while they've got their kids with them full time now.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to share is that when let's say you have two adults in the house like we do, your relationship and mood sets the tone for the rest of the household, for the whole family. And our kids, in our experience, will match up to the tone we set. So if we are totally stressed out of our wits, which I know is understandable, but still, if we're totally stressed out, the kids will often match that intensity and stressful mood. So you want to do anything and everything you can to make sure that you have time between the two of you to connect as not just as parents, but also as lovers, partners, friends, confidants, even in the midst of the multitude of duties and responsibilities we have.
And it really doesn't take very long either. Like you can just take 5-10 minutes while your kids are coloring or they're taking a shower, to just like look in each other's eyes and express appreciation to each other. That goes a long ways when you're, feeling stressed, to create some connection and love experience between you.
Yeah, just like Sonica's family way back when had a great experience when Dad threw out the television. That could be true for us as adults too. Often when we find like a moment to rest, the kids are occupied with something, we often grab our own phone and start doing whatever we do on our phones, and that's all great. However, you might consider, actually we strongly recommend that in some of those times, even if it's you're all sitting at the table, maybe they're coloring like Sonica said, or they're on their devices, like you take a moment to connect just the two of you with each other. Even if 5 minutes is what you get, like you keep that connection alive with the two of you.
Another thing too is to spell each other. What, I'll take the kids, you go focus on yourself, give you some alone time or some rejuvenation time in your favorite way, so that both of us aren't feeling spent the whole time, right? We're kind of helping each other get filled up.
Yeah, I remember one of the things Sonica and I used to do when we had little kids in the house is we'd find little hideaways where we could go smooch and make out a little bit,
Our master room closet.
Yeah, the closet or outside somewhere, you're kind of like, you sneak away like young lovers, but that infuses a little bit of fun and aliveness, and most crucially, it keeps this connection alive between the two of us, so that the mood we have is what gets transmitted to the rest of our household and the rest of our family.
The other thing I want to say too that was triggered for me when you said about, how the parents set the mood, that a lot of times we have a tendency sometimes to be so child-centered that we gear our activities around the kids instead of the other way around. So you could think about, well, what do we want to do for ourselves that you kids get to be included in? Like we're working in the garden. I was talking to one man who said we are, as a family, putting in quite the garden, that they're including the kids in what they want to get accomplished at their house instead of just always gearing everything around the kids. So, there might be some other ideas or solutions that show up inside of that.
I know. I have another friend who shares some great advice. He's stuck at home with his teenage son, and they came up with all kinds of fun things to do. One was what Sonica was just sharing, like kind of practical stuff. Hey, we're stuck at home together. This is a good time to teach my son important skills, like how to cook a bowl of rice, or how to fix the vacuum cleaner, or how to make sure that XYZ functions in the house. They also, both of them, do martial arts. So they do a little martial arts in the basement every day. So there's definitely opportunities for connection. And make sure you keep the connection between, if there's two of you in the house, that you keep this connection alive. And in case you are stuck at home as a single parent, it is really important as well that you somehow take care of yourself. You set up FaceTime sessions with your best friend so you can chat. Sonica and I did that yesterday with we had set up a meeting, like a little coffee date, to sit outside, and it turned out we ended up canceling it just to respect all the rules and everything. But we still connected with each other on FaceTime. We dialed in a second friend, so there was like 5 of us hanging out on FaceTime.
All having tea and coffee.
All having tea and coffee at the same time.
Yep. So it definitely requires that we get creative. And if you notice yourself running out of ideas, like, feel free to reach out to friends and say, hey, okay, I'm running out of, help each other. Because often we do kind of hit our own wall of what we can even think of, and other people will give us ideas, and we can give them the ideas that we have as well. And it really does require being extra creative these days.
Yeah, and you are always welcome to reach out to us. We're here for that, as we have been supporting couples and singles for many, many, many years around, for example, parenting. We're happy to come up with good ideas and help you brainstorm with that. So feel free to reach out. And in the meantime, just make sure you take care of yourself as well as your family. And if there's 2 of you, that you stay connected with one another during these busy, crazy times.
Yeah, this could be a really great time to create some cherished memories for all of you
Yes,
as a family.
it could. So hey, we are looking very forward to seeing you next time. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock here on Facebook Live on 1 o'clock Pacific time. And until then, take really good care of yourself and each other.
Yep, we're going to go work more in the garden.
Yeah, it's a good day for that.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.